I'm Kathleen Conlon. The title of this video is Performing Shakespeare, Techniques for Personalizing and Energizing the Scene. What you're going to see today is an instructional video that assists teachers, students, coaches, and directors in approaching the work of Shakespeare. You may be curious as to why we take the time to focus specifically on acting the plays of Shakespeare. As many of you know, these plays demand the fullest resources from the actors in terms of voice, body, imagination, and acting skills. What many of us have found in working in the studio and in directing plays is that actors need special encouragement and special techniques in order to allow themselves to explore the full range of personalization, energizing, and focusing on their work. The exercises that we're going to show you today are exercises that we've developed in the studio and work specifically to polish them for performance. These exercises allow an actor who is just beginning to approach the work of Shakespeare and who feels particularly worried about it or frustrated by it to find a way to get into the work so that the work is fresh, alive, and whole. These exercises are also very useful for an actor who's quite well accomplished in the work of Shakespeare, but needs an occasional brush up on particular problems and techniques to solve those problems. There are a few premises that underlie much of this work in Shakespearean actor training. The premises are these. For those of us who are working in the American theater, we want to make sure that our work primarily addresses American actors with the acting technique that they have and encourage American actors to work with the words of Shakespeare as if they were their own. We are not about to imitate any particular style of Shakespearean performance. The second premise that we work from is that acting, voice, movement, and imagination must be integrated so that the actors feel as if they are working as an organic whole as they approach the text. Another premise is that actors indeed must be athletes as they perform the work of Shakespeare. We are performing these works outdoors, on large theaters, indoors, and it's very important that the actor realize that he or she is performing the fullest possible range of movement, energy, and vitality. In performing the works of Shakespeare, we need to make sure that the entire body and mind and heart are addressed. These exercises that we have developed in the studio encourage the actor to take the work step by step, point by point. We start very early with exercises that begin the actor's approach towards getting the words within the mind, getting the words within the breath, and getting the words spewing from the mouth as if they were the actor's own creation. And then gradually we begin to intensify the work from solo work to partner work, and then the enactment of a complete scene. There's preparation work that needs to happen in any approach to text. And there are two particular ones that you need to address before you even get to the work of this video. These are the basic things that most actors will address in acting classes, voice classes, and you may want to take some time to brush up your skills in those areas. The first, of course, is the whole notion of action analysis, action, objective, given circumstances, all those basic questions that actors need to ask about any text. Make sure you review that before you begin your work on Shakespeare. The other aspect of the work, of course, is verse analysis, so that you know indeed how the Shakespearean text is put together. We don't address that in the video. Prepare for that before we begin. Our work starts with the most basic and yet the fullest aspect of the work itself, which is the personalization, the energizing, and the tapping into the full range. We've divided these 10 exercises into 3 groups. Exercises 1 through 6 concentrate on personalization. And personalization is the work in which the actor makes it all his own. Exercises 7 and 8 concentrate primarily on range, ways of exploring movement potential and vocal potential in working with the text. The last two exercises, 9 and 10, concentrate on energizing and capitalizing on the conflict in the plays themselves. So essentially in this video, what we are concentrating on is getting the dynamics of the scene to work for both actors, or all three actors, or the entire company of actors when you're working on a production. Let me explain for a moment what the format of this particular video will be like. Two actors are working with me to demonstrate these exercises for you. David and Becca are both actors whom I've had the pleasure of working with for the last several years, and they've been with me in the studio as we began to develop these exercises. They are both working now in the regional theaters and the theaters of New York, and hopefully you'll have a chance to see all their work in full completion. In these exercises, we'll take you through step by step, sequentially, building on one technique after another. Let me remind you that you can view this video in sequence. If you prefer, however, you can shop around and look at one exercise or another, depending on what problem you are attempting to solve. So please check your video counter and know what number is attached to the particular exercise. Now we're ready for the first exercise. Making the line your own. This is an exercise in personalization. Each of the actors have chosen a line of text which they will explore in order to understand the meaning of the line and to get it comfortable coming from their mouths. It's important that actors begin to sense that they are the author of the text by thinking the line, taking it into the body, and beginning to relate breath and voice to the process. Actors begin by relaxing, making sure that your legs and pelvis, shoulders, arms, face and head are nice and loose and easy. If you're more comfortable raising your knees, do that. Anything that you need so that you are comfortable on the mats. I encourage you to keep your hands on your belly so that you can feel the release of breath. On your next inhale, think the phrase that you have chosen to work on. And as you exhale, think it again. Do this several times and begin to find a connection to the meaning of those words for you. Try to relate the thought to the inhale and the thought to the exhale. At your own pace, begin to mouth the phrase so that the muscles of the face are beginning to attach themselves to the thought. Exaggerate the movements in the mouth so that you begin to sense the tension and release of consonants and vowels. Find the time, find the space for those sounds. Continue to connect the length of the exhale with the length of the breath. Gradually begin to whisper the phrase. Do it at your own pace so that the length of the phrase, your mouthing of it, and the whispering become a natural progression for you. So it is whispered, but not yet spoken. And let those consonants and vowels begin to connect to the meaning of the words. And gradually, at your own pace, begin to drop in the voice so that you begin to move away from pure breath into the use of sound.
Save me and hover o'er me with your wings, you heavenly guards.
Keep increasing your need to say the line.
Save me and hover o'er me with your wings,
What
you heavenly
rash
guards.
and bloody deed is this?
Continue to tap in.
Save me and hover o'er me with your wings, you heavenly guards.
Oh, what a rash and bloody deed is
Extend
this?
your connection down through the
Save me and
legs.
hover o'er me with your wings,
Open through a little bit more in the legs and the pelvis.
What a rash
Save
and
me
bloody
and hover o'er
deed
me
is
with your
this?
wings, you heavenly guards.
And within the next 3 phrases or so, begin to work
Save
towards
me
full
and hover o'er
commitment.
me with your wings, you heavenly
what
guards.
a rash and bloody deed is this?
Save me and hover o'er me with your wings, you heavenly guards.
Oh, what a rash and bloody deed is this?
Save me and hover o'er me with your wings, you heavenly guards.
Oh, what a rash and bloody deed is this?
And release. Allow the breath to return to normal. Be aware of whatever is left from your conscious exploration of those sounds and the breath. Reflect on what your connection was, to what those words meant, to what image may have been conjured for you, and let it remain active for you mentally. This is private work. You need not explore or share the images with anyone else. And come to a complete position of rest. And release the breath totally throughout the body. You may want to think about using this exercise for those portions of text that seem confusing or alien to you at first. It's also a wonderful exercise to use when you're just beginning to memorize text, and you want to get away from just the habit of the eye looking on the page of printed work and making sure that the energy of the words is truly coming into your body and into the notion of what the emotional and psychological moment is for you. Exercise 2, those words, my words. This is essentially an exercise in paraphrase. We use this as an exercise to get the actor to animate the particular portion of text that he or she is working on. It's a simple exercise, but it is one that can be confusing from time to time. David will start with a section of text that he's working on. As he begins to speak, whenever I find that he is disconnected from the text, or if there could be something more fresh that he is doing with the words, I will simply say to him, in other words. As soon as he hears that cue, he will then begin to move into his own words in trying to explain what the text is. When I begin to sense that he is animated, connected, and particularly vital and specific with what he is saying, I will use the cue again, in other words, and he will come right back to the text, bringing with him whatever it is he has discovered on the paraphrase. It's important that the coach or another actor work with him as he begins to do this exercise. I also encourage the coach or the helper to keep the text in hand, because it's important to be able to bring him back right to the word that he left in the exercise. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My pulse as yours doth temperately keep time, and makes as helpful music. Bring me to the test.
In other words?
Make me prove my sanity. Go ahead, ask me to do anything. Ask me to rephrase what just happened and tell you word for word
In
what
other
just
words?
happened. Bring me to the test, and I, the matter, will reword.
In other words?
And I will tell you exactly what happened. I'll describe in detail what I saw, what I heard, and a mad person couldn't do that.
In other
Someone would
words?
say, bring me to the test, and I, the matter, will reword, which madness would gamble from.
In other words?
Madness couldn't do that. A person who's insane wouldn't have any idea what he just said or what he saw, wouldn't remember
In other
it.
words?
Madness would gamble from. It is not madness that I have uttered. Mother, for love of grace, lay not that flattering unction
In
to
other
your
words?
soul. Mother, please, don't do this. Don't try and excuse yourself by saying that I'm mad.
In other words?
Mother, for love of grace, lay not that flattering unction to your soul.
In other words?
Don't try and assuage your conscience by saying that I'm insane and I don't know what I'm doing when I say that you killed my father. Don't try and do that. It's not fair to you and it's not fair to me. You know I'm not insane.
In other words?
Mother, for love of grace, lay not that flattering unction to your soul, that not your trespass, but my madness speaks. It will but skin and film the
In other
ulcerous.
words?
It's just going to lay a veneer of
In other
decency.
words?
It will but skin and film the ulcerous place, whilst rank corruption, mining
In
all
other
within,
words?
while corruption continues to eat away at your soul and corrode whatever conscience you've
In
got
other
left.
words?
It will but skin and film the ulcerous place, while rank corruption, mining
In
all
other
within,
words?
while corruption eats away at you in the inside. There'll be nothing good. There's so little left that's good right now.
In other words?
Whilst rank corruption, mining all within, infects unseen.
In other words?
Rank corruption will just eat away at you. There'll be nothing left. You'll be like Claudius. There'll be nothing redeemable about you left at all.
In other words?
Whilst rank corruption, mining all within, infects unseen. Confess yourself to heaven.
In other words?
Say that you've done it. Admit that you've done it. Come to terms with the fact that you've done
In other
something
words?
wrong. Confess yourself to heaven. Repent what's past. Avoid what is to come.
In other words?
Don't let this happen again.
In other words?
Avoid what is to come. And do not spread the compost on the weeds to make them ranker.
In other words?
And don't make your deeds worse by saying that you haven't done them.
In other words?
Don't compound lies on lie. Do not spread the compost on the weeds to make them ranker.
Good. What's important in this exercise is for the coach working with the actor to stay very sensitive to what's happening in terms of the energies and the vitality. As you notice in the last portion of the text, as David got more excited and connected to what he was saying, I actually was coaching him quicker and quicker, trying to catch him off guard so that he would let go of his preconceptions about text and allow the emotional moment to grab him. And he could then personalize it, make it his own, and give it a vitality and a specificity that will then apply itself to the text. A couple of things to keep in mind in the terms of using this exercise. First of all, when you're using this in the studio, it's important that you encourage the actors to realize there's no censorship in their language, that they are free to use the full gamut of idiom and cliché, so that what they're working towards is finding a language that is very specific and personal to them. And then they will begin to find out how important it is for them to commit to Shakespeare's words, which are actually the better ones to use. But we're looking for an emotional connection from truth, reality, onto the words of the text. Exercise 3, physicalizing the word shape. What Becca will be doing in this exercise is demonstrating for you how important it is for actors to get a sense of the sound values of consonants and vowels and all the words that they will be using in the text. It's not an exercise in content. It's not an exercise in meaning. It's an exercise in getting the sense of the muscularity and the athleticism that is really required for the fullness of the sound when it is used on stage. I will be encouraging Becca to look at the consonants, to explore their sense of energy and vitality, and to concentrate on vowels for their sense of time and quality. Becca will use 3 words, will demonstrate different sound qualities to you, and will explain ways to use the exercise in very specific ways. Becca, your first word is grained.
Grained. Grained. G. 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 Grrr. Grrr. Grained. Gray. Gray. Grained. Grained.
Good. Get that dental sound at the end.
Grained. Grained. Grained.
Try to get the dental without the explosive quality at the end.
Grained.
Good.
Grained.
Put it in its own time.
Grained. Grained. Grained.
At rest.
Grained.
And then in the phrase.
Thou turn'st mine eyes into my very soul, and there I see such black and grained spots as will not leave their tinct.
Good. Let's try a very different word. Peep.
Peep. Peep. Pa. 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 P. E.
Connect them a little better. Connect the first sound into the vowel.
P.
Good.
P.
And now put the finish on it.
Peep. Peep. Peep.
Clear finish.
Peep.
Clean.
Peep.
Good.
Peep.
Its own time.
Peep. 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 Peep.
At rest.
Peep.
In its own phrase.
Forth at your eyes, your spirits wildly peep.
Good. Third word. 3 syllables. It'll take a little more shaping. Ecstasy.
Ecstasy. X. X. Ecstasy. Ecstasy. Ecstasy.
Good. Find the pulse for that word.
Ecstasy. Ecstasy.
In its own time.
Ecstasy. 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 Ecstasy.
Even closer to its time.
Ecstasy.
At rest.
This bodiless creation, ecstasy, is very cunning in.
Good. Good. The ways that you can use this exercise, Becca, are as warm-ups, so that you get a sense of your own sound and your own connection to the words themselves as the consonants and vowels affect you, and also as a way to take in all your vocal work and allow it to apply right to the text that you're working on. Good. Exercise 4, physicalizing the phrase shape. This exercise builds immediately on the exercise you've just seen about physicalizing the word. Performing the plays of Shakespeare is physically demanding, and it's important that actors early in their training begin to get a sense of how much energy they must expend in performing the play over a 3-hour period. By working through the expansion and physicalization of the phrase shape, actors begin to get a sense of their own stamina, endurance, and how much energy is required to sustain good speech, vociferous quality, vocal quality, and physical movement, as well as the intention of the scene itself. What we will be doing in this exercise is that Becca has taken a line of text from her scene. She will then begin to explore the word shapes, but connecting them in ways that we didn't in the first exercise. I will work with her to encourage her to extend all the way through her legs, to the floor, through the arms, and into space itself. Becca, will you announce your line before we do the demonstration of the work on it?
Alas, how is't with you, that you do bend your eye on vacancy, and with the incorporeal air do hold discourse?
Okay, let's begin by exploring the values of the consonants and vowels on each of the words with some attention to linking them word to word.
Alas, how is with you that you do bend your eye on vacancy?
Good. Let's go back and take that from the beginning and open up the vowels even more and get a sense of what the attack is on each of the consonants.
Alas, how is with you that you do bend your eye on vacancy?
Good. Take the on vacancy again and make sure that it stays sound all the way through and not breath.
Okay.
You've got vowels, and vowels have sound.
On vacancy.
Good.
And with the incorporeal air.
Oh, let's take incorporeal air again. Lots of R's coming on with the vowels. Get the rounded quality of all of those. Okay. Get that new shape.
Incorporal air.
Good. Let's stop there for just a moment. We'll take this one back through incorporal air, but I want to call your attention to the fact of what's happening here. As soon as she begins to explore the fullness of sounds, with the vowels opening up and getting the energy all the way through her leg, from the floor, up and out, you'll find that the actress begins to feel much more in control of what she's saying, more energized by it, and able, therefore, to use the sounds to convey the meaning and her intention without getting into an analysis of that. Let's take it back to incorporal air. Yeah. Take it again. She stopped because the sound stopped, and she was only using the breath.
Incorporal
Good.
air.
And just link it a little bit better. Good.
Okay.
You feel good about that, don't you?
Incorporal air.
And a little longer on the vowel before you touch the R on the word air. The R should be the last thing that you grab onto.
Okay. Incorporal air.
Good.
Hold discourse.
Same thing with the discourse. Hold the R off to the very end and just touch it there.
Okay. Hold discourse.
Good. You put it all together.
Okay. With movement.
All the way back from
Okay.
alas.
Alas, how it with you that you do hold this. Start over.
Good.
Sorry.
Sure. This will happen frequently when you're working through this exercise. That sense of letting the breath get in the place of the sound, or sometimes leaping to another syllable. No problem. You simply stop it so that you're not learning something wrong, and you go back and pick up the energy. Yes.
Alas, how is with you that you do bend your eye on they can see, and with the incorporal air do hold discourse.
Good. Now do it from standing and just begin to link the words syllable by syllable to each other. Okay? A strong sense of the shape.
Alas, how is with you that you do bend your eye on they can see, and with the incorporal air do hold discourse.
Good. And now begin to get it back into normal time and normal meaning. Okay?
Alas, how is with you that you do bend your eye on vacancy, and with the incorporal air do hold discourse?
Good. And now totally at rest, but with a sense of the muscularity involved.
Alas, how is with you that you do bend your eye on vacancy, and with the incorporeal air do hold discourse?
Good. This is an incredible exercise for making sure that actors have a sense of how much muscularity is involved in speaking the text of Shakespeare. We tend to be mutterers and stutterers as we deal with our idiomatic language, and it's important for actors to get sensitized to what kinds of demands will be made on them in a performance of Shakespeare, which can take place over 3 hours on stage. I found that using this exercise as a daily exercise in class when you're meeting 3 or 5 times a week is really helpful to build the endurance for the actor, allow them to create their own sense of stamina and endurance. And what finally happens with all of them is that they get an incredible sense of being excited by the use of language. And the acting takes place on the words. Becca, that was lovely. Good work. Exercise 5, word experiencing. I think out of all the exercises that we were showing you on the video today, as well as the exercises we have done in the studio that are not included, I think we would have to agree that this is probably the most fun. The whole notion of word experiencing has to do with the sense that actors need to convey images, ideas, and complicated thoughts to an audience. They do it primarily through the words, and the sense of the image that a word conjures for the actor must be translated immediately across space and time to the audience. It's important for the actor to particularize what he or she is thinking when a line is being said, when an image is talked about. This exercise enables actors to truly exercise their imaginations, to try to find out what is unique and particular and very special about the words that they are using in a text. So it's a wonderfully freeing and opening exercise for everything else that you will be doing in relationship to complicated text. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to it, let me tell you. Okay, we'll begin. David.
Mm-hmm.
Hypocrite.
Hypocrite. Hypocrite. Hypocrite. Hypocrite. Hypocrite.
David, do you know one in particular?
Gee, there are so many. Hypocrite.
See a certain politician.
Hypocrite.
Yeah, hear his words.
Hypocrite.
Listen to that news. Listen to that news. Hear what he's saying.
Hypocrite.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Hypocrite.
Yes, on the phrase.
Calls virtue hypocrite.
Oh, nice, nice. Later on, you can tell me what image you used to
One of many.
fill that in. One of many, huh? Okay, all right. Becca, cleft.
Cleft. Cleft. Cleft.
Obviously, it's a breaking, a separating. Any texture to it?
Yes, like a wood. A wood, a grain, a splintered wood piece.
Okay, okay. Size, what does it feel like? What?
Like a 2x4 or a dowel rod or something.
Okay.
That snap.
Try it. Try to break it.
Cleft. Cleft.
Give it some weight.
Cleft.
Good, good. On the phrase?
Oh, Hamlet, thou hast cleft my heart in twain.
Ah, now without the physicality.
Oh, Hamlet, thou hast cleft my heart in twain.
Good, good. Get a nice sense of the separation and the energy on that. That's terrific. Good. Okay. All right, David. Heyday.
Heyday. Heyday. Heyday!
What do you see? What's this? What? Talk about texture.
Early
color.
Looney Tunes, Daffy Duck, back when he was really daffy. Parade on Main Street, ticker tape, streamers, the whole 9 yards. The president at the end with the golden key to the city. It's a heyday!
Good. On the
Heyday!
phrase.
The heyday in the blood is tame.
Nice. And you've also done antithesis, which we will do later in another session. Good. That's very nice. Good. Fullness is terrific. Becca. Sprinkle.
Sprinkle. Sprinkle. Sprinkle. Sprinkle.
Take it back up in the air. You seem to be more connected to it.
Sprinkle.
Watch your fingers.
Sprinkle.
Yeah, more concentration on the fingers. Let them really move.
Sprinkle.
Yeah. And just pick up the time on it.
Sprinkle. Sprinkle.
Do you see anything in particular?
I see drops of water sort of randomly.
Okay.
Liquid.
Yes, and keep saying it as you do that.
Sprinkle. Sprinkle.
Try a different texture. Try a texture that you've got little candies that you're putting on a cake, birthday cake.
Oh, all right. Sprinkle.
That changed the energy.
Sprinkle.
Which was different from the raindrops. Try the rain again. See what that did.
Sprinkle.
Then the cake.
Sprinkle.
Notice how whenever the movement of your hand changes, you get a different quality to the word.
A different weight. It feels like a different.
Which one feels right for the phrase you're going to put it in?
The rain. The sort
okay.
of
Try
liquid.
it on the phrase.
Oh, gentle sun, upon the heat and flame of thy distemper, sprinkle cool.
Yes, good. Try that again. Try it again so you can get it full. Yes.
O gentle sun, upon the heat and flame of thy distemper, sprinkle cool patience.
Let the sprinkle actually carry all the way through the final words of that.
Okay.
So the image keeps going.
O gentle sun, upon the heat and flame of thy distemper, sprinkle cool patience.
There you go, yes.
Okay.
So the action of what the word is about, sprinkling to cool him down, to pull him back, follows all the way through the end of the line. Oh, that was very nice, very nice. I like the changes in texture, too.
Yes.
That you have there from the different images. That's terrific, good. Okay. David, mope.
Mope. Now, is this the modern meaning of the word, or is this Shakespeare's meaning? Because they're slightly different.
Clarify what the meaning is.
Well, the way we think of mope now is kind of sit in a corner and look glum. And at least in this line that I've taken it from, mope means more in the sense of kind of wander off distractedly.
I think you better go with the meaning of the text.
Okay.
If you do the other experience, it can be awfully difficult to plug it in.
Right.
You'll be giving us the wrong data.
Okay. There's a connection to me that exists between the two of them, but for the purposes of this, it should probably err in one direction, right?
Let's take it by the word as it's used in the text authentically.
Okay.
Then let's go back and add the modern to it and see if there's a mingling.
Okay.
Okay?
Mope. Mope.
This is your wandering, huh?
Mope.
Yeah.
Mope. Mope.
Move more and talk less.
Mope. Mope.
Yeah. Let the eye focus just really get diffused.
Mope. Mope.
And put it into the phrase.
A sickly part of one true sense could not so mope.
Now do what you said is what you feel is the modern meaning of the word.
Mope. Mope. Mope.
Poutier, isn't it?
Mope.
Yeah, put that on the line.
Or but a sickly part of one true sense could not so mope.
Do you see them mingling in any way? How do you use both to inform the way you're going to do the line?
Or but a sickly part of one true sense could not so mope.
Now what you did is you used the first part of the meaning to lead into the line, and then switch the meaning when you got to the end.
And it's interesting because mope is such a down word in terms of meaning, even in terms of sound, but to bring it up in color at the end of the line
Sure.
kind of ties it all together.
Yeah. Try the line
Maybe
one
I'm
more
wrong.
time. That's very interesting.
Or but a sickly part of one true sense could not so mope.
We got a bit of irony, I think, that time, by allowing the sense of the sound and the meaning to shift there at the end. Very intriguing. Good, good. Becca, one more for you to finish up. Wag.
Wag. Let's see. Wag. Wag. Wag.
What does it mean? What does the word mean to you?
Well, image-wise, I sort of feel like cocky puppy. Or, you know, sort of that.
Yes. Why don't you move around a little bit more?
Okay. Wag. 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 Sort of insolent, like it has a little flavor of
Yeah, use your head a little more.
wag.
Ooh, there you go. Something released, yes. Try that again, yeah.
Wag. Wag.
More neck.
Wag.
On the phrase.
What have I done that thou darest wag thy tongue in noise so rude against me?
Uh-huh. Good. All right. Nice. Now directed at David.
Okay. What have I done that thou darest wag thy tongue in noise so rude against me?
Good. Good. Well, we can continue with this for quite some time. This is an interesting exercise. As I said, it's probably the most incredibly fun one that we have, and it could go on forever. You can use this at any stage of the rehearsal process as well as the training, because what it allows you to do is whenever a word is starting to get stale, whenever there is a portion of the text that's no longer alive for you. If it's no longer alive for you, it's not going to be alive for the audience either. And the important thing here is to make sure that the images stay rich and specific. Some key things to remember when you choose the words to explore in something like this is that you choose words that are nouns, verbs, or words of direction. And then encourage yourself to explore what those meanings are and be specific as to what image you see, what colors are around you, what is the texture, heavy, light, weight. All of those things are very important so that you have a specific, concrete idea that you are sharing and sending across to the audience. Exercise 6, exploring antithesis. Exercise 6 actually is a continuation of 5, a refinement of some of the things we just did in the previous exercise. Antithesis, however, is a very specific idea that we need to address. Shakespeare employs the rhetorical technique of antithesis all the way through his plays. And by antithesis, we essentially mean opposites, opposite ideas, opposite images that operate within the same phrase, within the same sentence, and sometimes within a speech. Oftentimes he will structure an entire speech on the notion of antithesis, so that an idea is started in one direction with one image, and then it switches to something else that offers us a comparison, a contrast, so that we can weigh ideas and sometimes even examine conflict. The exercise that we're going to do in antithesis is a fairly simple one in which the actor commits physically and mentally to the notion of opposites. And we'll show you some examples before we choose some specific ones from Hamlet. David, let's start with some very simple ones that we use in everyday speech. I have a series of 3 of them that I'd like to explore. The first is simply here and there.
Here and there. Here. 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 There. There. There.
Ooh, good sense of direction from those. Try them again without moving.
Here. There.
Travel there a little bit more.
Here. There.
Can you use it in a phrase?
Yesterday I walked from here to there.
Good, good. We get a sense of how long it took. All of a sudden,
how
with
lazy
2 words,
I
or
am.
how lazy, yes. With 2 words, we get a sense of how much time an activity took, as well as a sense of what you endured as you went from one point to the other. Good. Let's try another simple one, cold and hot.
Cold and hot. Cold. 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 Hot. Hot.
Mm-hmm. Can you go immediately from one to the other?
Cold. Hot.
Uh-huh. Now without moving.
Cold. Hot.
Good. In a phrase.
Last night it was so cold. Now it's so hot.
Wonderful. Good. A nice sense of the contrast. The
It's
best
easy
you've
in here.
ever done that. And you're reacting to the hot studio lights, right? Okay. Let's take a third one. A little more conceptual. Yesterday and tomorrow.
Yesterday and tomorrow. Yesterday. 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 Tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Tomorrow.
Well, you're really giving us a sense of past and future. And also, this is very negative for you, and this is very positive.
It's more casual.
Uh-huh.
Yesterday. Can't do anything. Yesterday. It's gone.
It's over.
Tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Got some
Oh,
possibilities.
that's interesting. Good, good. Try it in a phrase again.
Yesterday I was in Ohio. Tomorrow I'll be on the beach.
Very good. Wonderful. Okay. That's the concept of antithesis. Now let's take that concept and apply it to the actual images that Shakespeare uses in some of Hamlet's speeches, okay?
Okay.
I've chosen 3 for you.
Okay.
Let's give them a shot. The first one, an interesting combination, wholesome and mildew.
Wholesome. Wholesome.
Talk about it. What's the image for you?
Wholesome. White bread. Gosh darn, it's good to be alive. How are you doing?
Okay.
Wholesome.
All right, mildew.
Mildewed. 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 Mildewed.
Touch your jeans,
Yeah.
fabric, yeah.
Mildewed. Oh, mildewed.
Mm-hmm.
Mildewed.
Okay, put the 2 words back to back
Wholesome. Mildewed.
and use the phrase.
Here is your husband, like a mildewed ear, blasting his wholesome brother.
Mildewed was good. Concentrate on wholesome a little bit more. I think you can enrich that a little bit more.
Here is your brother, like a mildewed ear, blasting his wholesome brother.
Wonderful. What happens in that is we get a wonderful sense of your relationship to Claudius, your relationship to your father. That's very clear. See, within one phrase, then, we get a lovely sense of your attitude and how you feel about them. Terrific. Okay, let's try another one. This is one about qualities, cruel and kind.
Cruel and kind. Cruel. Cruel. Cruel.
Good.
Cruel.
Good. Go to the other.
Kind. Kind. Kind.
Kind is soothing, obviously, the way you're going with it.
Kind.
Mm-hmm.
Kind.
In the phrase.
I must be cruel only to be kind.
So you can qualify the thought and give us a sense of why his motivation is as complicated as it is. That's very interesting. I think Shakespeare does that often, that sense of being able within a speech to clarify the motivation so that people don't have to be confused about what the character is doing or thinking. It's right there in the text. And as an actor, all you have to do is explore the words that are there and fill them out. Do you feel particularly drawn to any of the images we've worked on so far? Are there some of the images that come to you with more vitality, with more connection?
Sure, the ones that are more kind of esoteric I like better because they get more specific in terms of what the images are that they bring to mind. Cruel and kind are kind of like bad and good. You know, you can go anywhere you want with that. Mildewed and wholesome are so very specific. The words have such definite denotation that the connotation that comes up is also seems to be in a narrower band of possibilities, and so it's easier to lock into.
Interesting. Good. Good. I think all these words are really determined by the particular personality of the actor.
Oh, yeah.
There's just no way that any of us would come up with the same images, but we make the character come alive, and we make the performance unique, depending on how we plug into those particular images. Okay? I want you to try one more combination. This one, because I think it's unusual the way it operates in the line, and that are the 2 words rose and blister.
Rose. Rose.
Color?
Rose.
What color? What's there?
Light
Talk about it.
pinkish red.
Ah.
Rose. Spring. The air is still and it's very fragrant. Rose. Rose.
Okay, and its opposite?
Blister. 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 Oh,
Where?
blister.
Where? Where's the
right
blister?
between my big toe and the toe right next to it.
Oh.
Blister.
Or
on the heel.
Localize it, absolutely.
Yeah, it's on the heel. It's on the heel, running in shoes that are new.
Say it, say it, say it.
Blister.
Ah.
Blister.
Yes.
Yeah, blister.
Interesting. The more specific your image got, your pitch changed. And I felt that all of a sudden you tapped into something
The
that was
bigger the
very
blister's
unique,
getting,
yes.
too.
Put them together
Rose. Blister.
in the phrase. Good.
Takes off the rose from the fair forehead of an innocent love and sets a blister there.
Lovely. That's very good. Nice. What's interesting about these exercises in antithesis is that actors can continually to use the same words all the way through a rehearsal process and realize that night after night they can keep the performance alive, they can keep it vital, and they can keep it very specific for them. The audience appreciates it. They don't know that that's the technique that the actor is using, but what they do appreciate is having a piece of text conveyed to them with a lot of vitality and a sense of specific thought behind it. It's a play that everybody wants to see at that moment because the actor has made the moment important. And that's the important part of this exercise. exercises 7 and 8 concern range. They focus primarily on expressiveness. I'd like to clarify for you what we mean by that. All of us, as actors, have a tendency to rely on physical behavior that is our normal, everyday behavior. We need to be encouraged constantly to realize that we can work away from that there is a range of expressiveness physically and a range of expressiveness vocally that we can tap into and use in the various characters and the various complicated speeches that we are asked to address. It is my contention that once actors are freed to explore the possibilities of movement and vocal release, they are then open and able to play many more characters than they ever thought possible. Exercise 7 concentrates on the movement aspect of range. This exercise is based primarily on a series of movement notations by Rudolf Laban, oftentimes spoken of as Laban notation for dance. In Laban's work, what he concentrated on were the qualities of movement, which he articulated as 8 particular kinds. We are going to demonstrate for you each quality of movement in terms of what it looks like, and then apply it to a piece of text so that you hear what it can sound like in terms of the actor working on a portion of text. And then we will put it together in a more complete whole as an actor works on a speech from a play. David will demonstrate these exercises, while Becca and I assist him by calling out certain aspects of the movement that he needs to explore. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. Good. David, let's begin by having you physically demonstrate what a particular effort shape is. Okay? We'll start with dab.
Dab.
Good. Can you talk about what it is that you were doing, about the quality?
Dab. It's a gentle little press that kind of flips up at the end. It's dab, like you're mopping up something.
It has a finish to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There is a completion.
Yeah, there's a
soft.
follow through, but it's not. Yeah, it's
Complete, fluid, and soft. Good. Okay. Flick.
Flick.
Okay, good. Talk about it.
Yeah, it's just like bad disco dancing. You know, everything, it's sharp. It's like a, a bad dab. It's loose, it's mainly skeletal. You just got to picture the bone dance kind of
Yes.
thing.
So it's lightweight, but it's a more eccentric movement.
Yeah.
Good.
Sharper.
Ring.
Ring. Oh, it's twist. Oh. It's like wringing water out of a washcloth or something. It just drains you. It's a little torturous.
Uh-huh. Good.
It's that kind of thing.
Good. Good. Much more negative than a positive
For me, at least. Yeah.
outlay of energy. Good. Press.
Press. Having to put a little effort to clear some space around you. It's not bad, but it's just...
Heavy.
Yeah.
Air is heavy.
Yeah, there's some labor involved.
Okay. Labor intensive. Pushing through.
Yeah.
Okay. Continuous. Has no finish
Right.
unless you decide to.
Right. It's like that.
Okay, so it's continuous.
Yeah.
Slash.
Slash. Just a cut. Cut.
Use the foot one more time so we can see how it works throughout the body. There you go. Good. Good. Tends to work at diagonals.
Yeah, for me. Because I think of when we get to punch is more horizontal or vertical, and slash, to me, is a cutting
Cuts
across
across.
of something.
Good. Okay. Float.
Float. Float. It's just kind of a constant little bob. Everything's kind of light. Walking on cotton or eggs or something like that. It's very...
Okay. Also continuous. No real end to it.
No, just kind of bouncing around wherever the wind blows.
Good. Okay. Glide.
Glide is more of a swoop. Goes up high and then comes back down low, and it kind of has peaks and valleys. It can stop and hold and then come down.
And fluid.
And
No
you continue.
stopping, really.
Yeah.
Good. And punch.
Punch. Punch. It's easy for the upper part of the body to get into. It's different down below. For me, it's more of a kind of this, slash is more like that. Punch is more like that.
Good. All right. Just for curiosity, David, which particular effort shapes do you think you tend to employ in your own daily communication?
Good question. There's some punching. When I'm really excited about something, it's, that kind of thing. Blows through the solar plexus. Sometimes a little slash. Sometimes, if I'm bored, there's a little gliding. I don't float a lot, but,
Okay.
It's more kind of a glide.
Yes.
Maybe flick. Flick, you know, if I'm being real offhand about something, just flick to it.
Right.
You know,
Good.
that-
That's important for actors to know that. It's
Oh,
important
yeah.
for you to know what is your normal range of movement so that you can begin to explore the ones that don't come naturally to you. But they might be embedded there in the text. There might be something there that will allow the text to be enriched if you can tap into that effort. Let's take a look at how the individual efforts could be applied to an individual piece of text.
Okay.
So there were some efforts that you chose already that applied to text?
Yeah, I went through the section of text that we're using for today's scene, and there were some lines that struck me, either intuitively in some cases, but a lot of it was also based on the meaning of the line. Sometimes a line just, it means I'm punching you. It's the action involved in the line, or it relates to the exercises that were done before that have to do with word and phrase shape. Sometimes there are a lot of extended vowels, which
Right.
to me mean floating and gliding, or maybe ringing. Sometimes there are a lot of consonants, a lot of k, you know,
Right.
which to me is a kind of a punch. It's a sharper action. So there were just some lines that I pulled as a possible example of one way of interpreting a line.
Okay, let me throw out a cue for you. You complete the line in the effort and then just identify for us again what effort that was.
Okay.
Okay? My pulse as yours.
My pulse, as yours, doth temperately keep time.
It's a dab.
Okay?
And a little heavy dab, but still a dab.
Okay. Go, go, you question.
Go, go, you question with a wicked tongue.
Flick.
Good. Do not look upon me.
Do not look upon me, lest with this piteous action you convert my stern effects.
Ring.
Good. Eyes without feeling.
Eyes without feeling, feeling without sight, ears without hands or eyes, smelling sans all.
Press.
How now, a rat.
How now? A rat, dead for a ducat, dead.
Good.
Slash.
Good follow through. Why look you there?
Why, look you there. Look how it steals away.
Float.
Good. And it's appropriate because what that the
Oh,
moment
yeah.
is seeing the ghost.
The light kind of, you know, increased reality sort of feeling
Sure.
to it.
Sure.
As if you're leaving your body, sort of.
Yeah, good way to put that. A combination and form.
A combination and a form indeed, where every god did seem to set his seal to give the world assurance of a man.
Glide.
Come, come and sit.
Come, come, and sit you down, you shall not budge.
Punch.
Good. Okay, so now we have an explanation as to how they can be applied to individual lines of text when you choose them. Now that you've had an opportunity to explore what the words are about and how the effort shape can be applied to them, let's take a look at a piece of text in total, and let's work improvisationally on it.
Okay.
You have a piece of text that's memorized, and so what Becca and I will do is simply call out to you, without any planning, without any agreement between the two of us, just simply call out efforts to you. And I would like you, at that moment, to change the effort you are working in and adopt the one that we've suggested.
Okay.
The importance is that what you are doing there is trying to see if whether the line could mean something more than what you had thought. Let that new effort come in and help you to discover something that you couldn't consciously have pushed yourself towards. Okay? I think it's important, Becca, that you stay on text.
I'm going to stay on text, so if you lose your way, just call line, because the signals come so fast and so abruptly that sometimes the lines fly.
Words just go, whoo.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll be right here.
Okay? And begin, David.
What effort would you like to start in?
Can I give him the first line?
Okay. How about a flick?
A flick. You cannot call it love, for at your age, the heyday in the
Ring.
blood is tame, it's humble, and waits upon the judgment. And what judgment would step you from this to this?
Punch!
Sense, sure you have, else could you not have motion. But sure that sense is apoplex, for madness would not err, nor sense to
Dab.
ecstasy was ne'er so thralled, but it reserved some quantity of choice to serve in
Press.
such A difference? What devil worst that thus hath cozened
Float.
you? That hoodman blind.
Punch.
Eyes without feeling, feeling without sight,
Ring.
ears without hands or eyes,
Ring.
smelling sands, all, or but a
Stab.
sickly part of one true sense could not so mope.
Glide.
That's as far as...
Take the first line again. I want to see the glide one more time.
Okay. You cannot call it love for a
Good.
glory.
Great. Okay, let's stop there. Wonderful. Now, you were really caught off guard by a few of
Oh, yeah.
those, yes. Any places where you thought the effort and the meaning of the line came together in ways that surprised you and that you liked?
Oh, the whole thing with the heyday in the blood is tame, it's humble. That always seemed to me kind of catty. The heyday in the blood is tame, it's humble, it waits upon the judgment. And at one point that got to a ring, and that was kind of interesting. It was, the heyday in the blood is tame, it's humble, and waits upon the judgment. And it seemed, it gave a completely different color to the line, one that I wasn't thinking of. It made it more in the sense of, how could you do this?
There we go.
As opposed to, I can't believe you did this. You know,
Yes.
which is a different kind of, it's more like this, and then that line to me is more kind of maybe of a flick, or something like that. But with the ring, it was like, you really let me down, that kind of feeling.
Good.
So that was different.
Good. David, that was really good work. It's exhausting
Yes, it is.
work. It's work that really can't be done much longer than about 15, 20 minutes at a time in class for any particular actor. Have you noticed that, because you've been doing this work for several years now, have you noticed that your own physicality and your expressiveness has increased at all? through
Oh,
this?
yeah. Yeah, and sometimes, I mean, even though I'm just sitting here dripping sweat and I'm panting and all that garbage, it's at this point where things just really kind of open up. And this especially, doing this kind of thing, if you have a partner who can call out these efforts and just keep you completely off your toes, you know, you don't have time to think about, is this the right choice? Is this the choice that's going to make the most sense? You just get down to it being a choice that is going to come from somewhere in here as opposed to somewhere up here. And
Yes.
you can short-circuit yourself if you...
I think this is a
rely too
real
much on logical
important point
choices.
that we can make for everybody here, which is that in dealing with the Shakespearean text, you have to be extremely verbal to deal with it anyway, and you have to be relatively intellectual to understand much of what's going on. Those are gifts in using those to apply to the text. However, they can be traps too, and it's important to find ways into your own expressiveness that trick you, so that you're not always relying on choices that you've always made. But this forces you in many ways to explore behavior that wouldn't come naturally and help you find some more unique ways of looking at the text. I think also that release into the different efforts seems to give you a further confidence as an actor. There's very little behavior that's no longer possible for you. You can do anything on the stage, and you no longer feel as if you're a fool in which you engage in that, because those moments become very rich, and you are able then to be alive at the moment and say, look, I can do this, and I can express it that way. And that's essentially what we're looking for in the long portions of Shakespearean text. Okay? It's time for a break for you. Exercise 8, exploring vocal expressiveness through pitch. This exercise is similar to the previous one that we did in movement, in the sense that it addresses the difficulties in making sure that an actor is using the entire range of expressiveness that's available to him or her. What we find with vocal expressiveness is exactly the same problems that we find with movement expressiveness, that actors tend to lock into the patterns that they themselves use in their everyday life, in their everyday conversations. These exercises are designed to open up a further repertoire of sound and sound qualities that the actors can use. Becca is going to work with me in this exercise to demonstrate to you what an actor can do to begin to open up other areas of expressiveness. For this exercise, we have located 4 chambers of sound. There could be many more than that, but we've decided on focusing on the 4. The top of the head functions as the highest resonance for sound. The second area is within the eye area and in the sinuses. The third in the mouth, and the fourth in the chest. We have found that by moving the sound through those 4 chambers, an incredible array of possibilities becomes available for actors to use. The expressiveness of a line, of a phrase, of bouncing one idea from another can work by bouncing through the various chambers. Becca, Let's start with the chambers that are most comfortable for you. Which ones do you use most naturally?
Primarily the mouth,
Mhm.
and then I think I'd probably go to the chest.
Chest resonance and mouth resonance, yes, yes. The sound has a tendency to lock into this area and work as full as possible within those. So what we want to explore for you is to find out where the sounds and how they can move up into those other areas. Okay, let's start where you're the most comfortable, with the mouth.
Okay.
And I want you to start by making sure that you are as sensitive as possible to what that resonance is, okay? The image that tends to work well for other actors, and you may want to try it as well, is that sense of the mouth being sensual with the chewing. So if you would just hum and chew as completely as you can, just work through that chewing motion with the hum moving in there. So you begin to sense that the sound is all the way through the mouth. Good, good. Keep opening it as much as you can and still keep the lips relatively closed. And sound is forward and through the teeth as well. And open up on a vowel, ah. Ah, and open it even more now. And just say, my name is Becca in that chamber.
My name is Becca.
There we go. Lives right in through the face, okay? Let's take it down to the chamber in the chest, okay? Now just take a moment to make sure that you are as focused in that area as you can be, okay? Just relax, settle in so that that center is working for you, okay? And let the sound become an oh, 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 oh. And the sensation that you want to work with, because it always helps to make sure there's something sensual that you can attach to it. It's as if there were cool ice cream or yogurt moving down. You're swallowing. Coolness, soothing, movement. Oh.
Oh.
Oh. It's right there at the tail end of your sound. Good,
I'm
good.
coming from here to there.
Absolutely. Dropping it. Try it again.
Oh.
Yes. Oh. Feel some weight in your jaw.
Oh.
And drop it. Oh. There we go. It's right in here. Yeah. Keep it in the O. Oh. And my name is Becca.
My name is Becca.
Can we move back up to the mouth?
My name is Becca.
Down to the chest.
My name is Becca.
There we go. Good. Two subtle differences. All right. Now let's just move up a bit. Okay. Let's move up into the eye area. And just take your hands right now and brush from the eyes along the cheekbones into the head. Okay. Just as you sensitize what all that area is. Okay. And open the eyes. Work with the eyes open as wide as possible. All right. And start to concentrate on that sense of a siren, an ambulance siren, fire siren, so that it begins, the sound begins to localize up there and moves. Let it go forward and back and forward and back. Good. Good. Yes. Excellent. Good. And now attach the vowel E up there. Good. And let it move forward and back and forward and back. Keep it up there, though. Yeah. Yes, good. Keep it up there. My name is?
My name is Becca.
Yes. Doesn't feel good for you, does it?
It's
Not used
awkward,
to it?
but
Yes. Sounds perfectly fine, but it's not your sound. You don't think of it as your sound, is what it
Okay.
is at that point, okay? It's very nice. So take it one more time. Find the E. Good. And
My name is Becca.
there we go. See if you can keep the in Becca up there as well before dropping it down to the
I
mouth.
hear it hit bottom. Yes.
Sure.
Okay. My name is Becca.
What are your sensations, feelings when you move the sound up there?
Well, how so? You mean images or sensations?
Images and sensations.
Sensations. I can feel almost emotion through here, like almost liquid or trembling through the sinuses primarily. Not so much up here. And image-wise, it feels a little bit strident to me.
Sure.
Because I'm not used to having it up
What
there.
is the emotional quality that you find up there?
A little tense, a little biting,
Yes.
a little sharp.
Good. And so emotionally you can connect to what that is.
Yes.
It's a flash of something.
It feels like very penetrating, like I'm shooting something from that area.
Good. Okay. All right. Somebody else may have a different sensation for what that is, but that's all perfectly valid. Let's now move up to the top of the head, which is a real tough one. So just take your fingertips as if you were raining on top of your head and get the pads of the fingers to really move up there and shoot the sound up there and see what happens. See if you can just get it at the top of the head. Just connect it to those fingers up there.
With what? Like
Pigeons. Pigeons are up there.
In
And
a
it's
E
an
sound?
E,
Or, okay.
yeah. Good. Uh-huh. Almost a falsetto, but it gets the top of your range for you. Yes. My name is? Slide right into it, yeah?
My name is Becca.
Uh-huh. Yeah, what is it again?
My name is Becca.
Uh-huh, let's come down the eyes.
My name is Becca.
Uh-huh, into the mouth,
My name is Becca.
into the chest.
My name is Becca.
All right, now I want you to try one more thing, okay? I want you to take My Name is Becca and move it all the way through the 4 chambers. Just
Okay.
let it roll.
Starting any particular place
No,
in the chest?
any place you want at all.
Okay. My name is Becca.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Becca.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Becca. My name is Becca. My name is Becca. Becca. My name is Becca. My name is Becca.
Great, okay. So they're all available to you.
Yes.
It's a little easier than you thought, right? Okay, the chambers are available, and that's the important thing. No one is ever going to ask you to speak an entire piece of text up at the top of the head. It won't carry in the theater anyway, so no one's going to ask you to do that. What's important is that you can tap into that as overtones, as qualities of some words in a line, anything so that you allow room for the emotional connection to move.
Okay.
You want to tap into the larger range of expressiveness. Could you try some lines from your text from the Hamlet scene that could live in either one of those chambers?
Okay. Starting from the head, maybe?
Start with the head.
Okay. Let's see. Nay, then, I'll set those upon you who can speak.
There you go. We get that, we get the overtones of that. Good, good. We can't speak. You can keep the speak up there.
Okay. Nay, then, I'll set those to you who can speak.
There we go. Good. Wonderful. And you tapped into the lower sense of your sound on 2 syllables, and that was it. The rest of it stayed up there. Good. Move down to the eyes now.
Let me find it again.
Sure.
Siren.
That's it. Yes. Good. Good.
This is the very coinage of your brain, which bodily, excuse me.
That's all right. Try it again. That's nice. It was a whole new sound for you.
This is the very coinage of your brain. This bodiless creation, ecstasy is very cunning in.
Wonderful. Good. I don't think I've ever heard you use that.
Isn't that funny? Wow. It does feel more pointed, and then the other one feels a little out of control. It feels,
Sure.
you know, it feels like emotional, like someplace that you rebound off in spite of yourself. You know what I
Interesting.
mean?
Yes. Good. Let's move to the mouth. Particular line of text there.
Okay. Ah, ma, 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 ma. Come, come, you answer with an idle tongue.
Any reason why you chose that line for that chamber?
It has all those M's and N's, tongue, answer,
Yes.
come, come.
Right. So the
So it
resonance
felt-
lives right there.
Mm-hmm.
Much more action-oriented than the other lines, too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Try the one on the chest.
Okay. Oh, 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 I me. What act that roars so loud and thunders in the index?
Interesting. Most of that line were monosyllabic words, with the exception of 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had a wonderful sense of using that sound to get the pushing, the digging. That's part of what that line is about. Good. Let's show a section of text that's a little bit longer, and I would like you to work improvisationally with it in the same way that David had to work improvisationally with the movement work.
Okay.
I'd like you to start the piece of text, and I will simply call out chambers for you to move it in, so that you haven't chosen which ones
Okay.
you're going to use. You're just going to explore and see, well, what else does that tell me about this moment? What else does it tell me about this connection?
Okay.
Okay, so you want to concentrate on getting the chambers
Sure.
moving, and I'll find some text for you, okay? You want to start with the last? How is it with you?
Yes, okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And start it up in the eyes.
In the eyes?
Mhm.
Alas, how is't with you, that you do bend your eye on vacancy, and
Chest.
with the incorporeal air, and with the incorporeal air do hold discourse. Forth at your eyes your spirits wildly peep.
Top of head. And as the sleeping...
Forth at your eyes your spirits wildly peep. And as the sleeping soldiers in the alarm.
Mouth.
Your bedded hair, lifelike an excrement, stops up and stands on end.
Chest.
O gentle sun, upon the heat and flame of thy distemper,
Eyes.
sprinkle cool patience.
Very nice. Very nice. Take the line, whereon do you look, and let it just move through all 4 chambers.
Okay. Whereon do you look? Whereon do you look? Whereon do you look?
Wonderful. Good. You're ready to go.
Wow.
You're cooking on that one, aren't you? That's interesting. That's
really
interesting.
is.
Fabulous sense of sound that you're able to control and begin to explore the very top and the very bottom of your range. And the important thing, and this is important for those of you that are beginning to use this exercise in your classes as well, is that wonderful sense that you don't have to determine which chamber it is. All you should be working for is that sense of freedom, that you're open and free to let that sound roll through. And then you begin to tap into colors and into certain kinds of sizes and textures that you don't normally use. And the roll will become richer to you and more interesting. I think you will also find that rolls that you thought were out of your range are no longer necessarily out of your range. And this is an important aspect for the actor's work. The confidence that you can take that sound and move it anywhere is absolutely crucial.
And support it.
And supported, yes. Good work, Becca.
Thanks.
Exercise 9, exploring the dynamic change between beats. Exercises 9 and 10 are exercises in energizing the scene. At this point, we're really ready for 2 actors to begin to work together. We assume at this point that they've already done their analysis of the action, objective, all the things they're going to play in the scene. They also have some sense of their own expressiveness, the particular ways they can move, the particular ways they can say a line, the particular ways they can use pitch, and all those wonderful tools that an actor has available. Now it's time to really connect to the other actor, to make sure that the use of the entire space is being explored, and also that the structure of the scene is beginning to be conveyed to an audience. We talk about structure in a very simple way here. We're simply talking about every time an action or thought changes for the actor, that there is a moment of realization, everything comes to a stop, and then the energy picks up again. It's really important for actors to realize that they build a scene component by component, as opposed to it being one huge rush of words through the end of the scene. We're going to demonstrate for you a way to begin to allow that technique to work for actors. I will call change at a certain portion of the text, and I will be doing this improvisationally. When I call the word change, the actors must stop what they're doing, take a moment to regroup, and attack the text again with a new impulse, a new change in action, a new change in tactic, a complete change in thought. Actors will be moving on one beat, remaining static on the next beat, moving again on the third. And that's just a way to get the muscles of the body used to playing change. You will see later when we incorporate it in the scene that we refine that a great deal. But right now we want to get in touch with those basic impulses of change. Actors are free to explore changes in posture, changes in vocal pitch, changes in eye focus, and changes in tempo, so that they articulate for themselves and for the audience how the play is changing them. We'll start first with the improvisational work on structure. Actors begin the text from the early part of the scene. At any moment, I'll call change. It'll be at places where you least expect it, and simply take that change and work with it. Allow something to happen to you. I'll stay on text. If you go off, simply call line and I'll feed you, okay?
Now, Mother, what's the matter?
Hamlet, thou hast thy father much offended.
Mother, you have my father much offended.
Change.
Come, come, you answer with an idle tongue.
Go, go. You question with a wicked tongue.
Change.
Why, how now, Hamlet?
What's the matter now?
Have you forgot me?
Nay, by the rood, not so.
Change.
Queen, your husband's brother's wife, and would it were not so...
Change.
You are my mother.
Nay then, I'll set those to you that can speak.
Come and sit you down. You shall
Change.
not-
You go not till I set you up a glass where you may see the inmost part of you.
Change.
What wilt thou do? Thou wilt not murder me.
Change.
Help! Help! Hello!
Good. We'll stop it right there. Lovely. Those are some real surprises. I don't think you were ready for those changes when they occurred. That was a lovely moment, David, when you got caught here, all of a sudden being forced to look at her. I think it was on the line, you go not till I set you up a glass. That was wonderful. An incredible sense of absorbing that information for the first time. I don't think I've seen you do that in rehearsal yet. I don't think you've had a moment quite like that. And you seemed very surprised by the impact on him. So who knows? That could play in the scene for you when we go back to put it together, okay? Let's do it through now a second time. And this time I would like you both to internalize your changes at places where you think they need to happen. So that all that means is that I will not call the change. You will play them, and I want you to play them fully. Actually take a dead stop when that beat is over. Register the fact that you've both stopped, and then drastically change pitch, posture, eye focus, tempo, whatever it might be. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Are we ready again? Back to the same spot so we see how that second stage of the rehearsal begins to work.
Now, Mother, what's the matter?
Hamlet, thou hast thy father much offended.
Mother, you have my father much offended.
Come, come. You answer with an idle tongue.
Go, go. You question with a wicked tongue.
Why, how now, Hamlet?
What's the matter now?
Have you forgot me?
Nay, by the rood, not so. You are the queen, your husband's brother's wife, and whatever not so, you are my mother.
Nay then, I'll set those to you that can speak.
Come and sit you down. You shall not budge. You go not till I set you up a glass where you may see the inmost part of you.
What wilt thou do? Thou wilt not murder me. Help! Help! Ho!
Good. Good. Let's stop there. Nice. Nice. Interesting change of dynamic between the two. You got a lot more powerful this time through, Becca. Yes. You still got caught off guard by him, but you did get caught up in the sense of her power early part of the scene. It's very clear. Very clear. Okay. Let's take it through the third time. And rather than taking the changes not quite that big, make them a little more subtle, but make sure that both of you are allowing the energy to really come to a point of awareness, okay? But just begin to collapse the time. Still use the entire space, but collapse the time in the scene so it becomes a little more real, okay? Let's try that, please.
Now, Mother, what's the matter?
Hamlet, thou hast thy father much offended.
Mother, you have my father much offended.
Come, come, you answer with an idle tongue.
Go, go. You question with a wicked tongue.
Why, how now, Hamlet?
What's the matter now?
Have you forgot me?
Nay, by the rood, not so. You are the queen, your husband's brother's wife, and would it were not so, you are my mother.
Nay, then, I'll set those to you that can speak.
Come, come, and sit you down. You shall not budge. You go not till I set you up a glass where you may see the inmost part of you.
What wilt thou do? Thou wilt not murder me. Help! Help! Oh!
Good. And we'll stop there. Wonderful. That was very nice. When you work this through in rehearsal, we can work it through several times in which you get to the point where it started very big, started as full as possible, and then take it to the point where it's as tiny as you can possibly play it and still play it on the stage. And then in the rehearsal process throughout the scene over the weeks, what I would encourage you to do night after night is change the size in which you are playing the scene. Because when you rehearse it in a large way, what you are doing is getting the entire body involved, and you are exploring space. You're exploring how big the character can be, how big the moment can be, how much space there is between the two of you. When you play it really very tightly, what you are concentrating on are the psychological adjustments that the two of you are making with each other. All of us as actors and as directors must constantly remind ourselves that the sense of playing the dynamic changes, physicalizing them through something that the actors are doing in space, having the actors change them vocally, is really important to convey the dramatic change of the text to the audience. After all, they are watching us and listening to us when we perform a play, and therefore they watch and listen to us to be signaled as to how things are changing dramatically and theatrically. Changing the dimensions from working in a very large scope and changing to working something very small encourages actors to find the balance in a performance night after night, in rehearsal, and night after night in the completed performance of the play. Exercise number 10, generating conflict and energy between partners. I think out of all the exercises, maybe this one is indeed the most fun, the rope exercise. What we do with this exercise is allow the actors to attach themselves to each other through the use of a rope. Each actor is wound across the torso and connected to the other actor, much like an umbilical cord. As all of us know as directors and actors, we're constantly looking for that connection between actors, and we're looking for their intensity and their adjustment to each other. This particular exercise allows actors to talk and listen intently to each other, because in many ways their balance is affected by how each of them respond to each other. What will happen in this exercise is we will go through the scene, Act 3, Scene 4 of Hamlet. And in this scene, the actors will use their attachment to the rope, the pulling, pushing, adjusting to each other, catching each other by surprise, catching each other off guard, and making sure that each actor is forced to come to a new conclusion, a new moment, a new realization in the scene itself. A couple of things about the apparatus that we use in this. We have found through trial and error that a rope of more of a nylon or a polyester quality is better than hemp. It doesn't cut through the torso, it doesn't harm the hands. To encourage the actors to have a better grip and a better sense of control of the rope, we do encourage them to wear gloves, and the actor will find the kind that are more comfortable for him. Becca, for example, is wearing short leather-like gloves. David is wearing cotton gloves. Each of them are comfortable with that for grip and for their control of the rope itself. As a coach, I encourage them to make sure that they're working with full body contact, that there's a sense of the entire body being involved as they energize through the use of the rope. We will use the entire space. They are free to collapse it, to contract it, and to open it up again as they feel the energy of the scene doing so. You will find, as they begin to release themselves through all of that, they will find different qualities of moving the rope. They begin to tease. They begin to excite each other. They begin to badger each other. But everything must be conveyed through the rope itself. And of course, eventually what we're looking for is for actors' muscles to remember what that sensation was like, so that when the rope is removed, they are able to enact the scene as if they still felt that intense connection. The actors are about ready to begin. I will function as a coach off stage, and what I will do is simply call out to them suggestions if I see that they need a particular suggestion to move in a certain way, to extend a little more fully. I will also remain on book for the scene, because again, in any of these exercises where we're asking the actors to mix up what they've been doing, it is very easy to lose their place in the text. So I will be with them right on that, and I will feed them the line whenever they need it. Actors, are you ready? We'll begin. Actors, before we start text, why don't you begin by just trying to pull and push on the rope, see how you can adjust to each other, what kinds of pressure and strength. Good. Good. Okay. Stay within your boundaries on the set, okay? And you can just call line anytime you need it. Be prepared to hear me offer some suggestions, and that might confuse you, but just listen and keep with your energy, and I'll keep feeding you lines when you need them. Okay.
Now, Mother, what's the matter?
Hamlet, thou hast thy father much offended.
Mother, you have my father much offended.
Come, come, you answer with an idle tongue.
Go, go. You question with a wicked tongue.
Why, how now, Hamlet?
What's the matter now?
Have you forgot me?
Nay, by the rood, not so. You are the queen, your husband's brother's wife, and would it were not so, you are my mother.
Nay, then, I'll set those to you that can speak.
Come, come, and sit you down. You shall not budge. You go not till I set you up a glass where you may see the inmost part of you.
What wilt thou do? Thou wilt not murder me. Help! Help, ho!
How now, a rat, dead for a ducat, dead!
Line.
Oh, me, what hast thou done?
Oh, me, what hast thou done?
Nay, I know not. Is it the king?
Oh, what a rash and bloody deed is this.
A bloody deed, almost as bad, good mother, as kill a king and marry with his brother.
As kill a king!
Aye, lady, 'twas my word. A wretched, rash, intruding fool, farewell, I took thee for thy better. Take thy fortune. Thou find'st to be too busy is some danger. Leave wringing of your hand. Peace, sit you down, and let me wring your heart, for so I shall, if it be made of penetrable stuff. If damned custom had not breasted so that it be proof and bulwark against sense.
What have I done?
What have I done that thou darest wag thy tongue in noise so rude against me?
Such an act that blurs the grace and blush of modesty, calls virtue hypocrite, takes off the rose from the fair forehead of an innocent love and sets a blister there, makes marriage vows as false as dicers' oaths. Oh, such a deed as from the body of contraction plucks the very soul.
Me, what act that roars so loud and thunders in the index?
Look here upon this picture, and on this, the counterfeit presentment of two brothers. See what a grace was seated on this brow. Hyperion's curls, the front of Jove himself. An eye like Mars to threaten and command. A station like the herald Mercury, new lighted on a heaven-kissing hill. A combination and a form indeed, where every god did seem to set his seal to give the world assurance of a man. This was your husband. Look you now what follows. Here is your husband, like a mildewed ear blasting his wholesome brother. Have you eyes? Could you on this fair mountain leave to feed and fatten on this moor, huh? Have you eyes? You cannot call it love, for at your age, the heyday in the blood is tame. It's humble and waits upon the judgment. And what judgment would step you from this to this? Sense, sure you have, else could you not have motion. But sure that sense is apoplexed. For madness would not err, nor sense to ecstasy was ne'er so thralled, but it reserves some quantity of choice to serve in such a difference. What devil was that had cousin you would have been blind? Eyes without feeling, feeling without sight, ears without hands or eyes, smelling sans all, or but a sickly part of one true sense could not so mope.
Hamlet, speak no more. Thou turnest my eyes into my very soul, and there I see such black and gray spots as will not leave their tinges.
You live in the rank sweat of an ascended bed, stewed in corruption, honeying and making love with a nasty sty.
No more! Speak to me no more. These words like daggers enter in mine ears. No more, sweet Hamlet.
A murderer and a villain, a slave that is not 20th the tithe of your preceding lord, a vice of kings, a cutpurse of the empire and the rule, that from a shelf the precious diadem stole and put it in his pocket. No more! King of shreds and patches!
Take time now for this big adjustment with the presence of the ghost. Change the dynamic.
And hover o'er me with your wings, you heavenly guards. What would your gracious figure?
Really stretch the time now.
Alas, he's bad.
Do you not come, your tardy son, to chide that lapsed in time and passion lets go by the important acting of your dread command? Oh, say! How is't with you, lady?
Alas, How is it with you?
Keep the tension on the rope, even though it's smaller and quieter.
That you do bend your eye on vacancy, and with the incorporeal air do hold discourse? Forth at your eyes your spirits wildly peep, and as the sleeping soldiers in the alarm, your bedded hair likewise and excrement starts up and stands on end. Whereon do you look?
On him! On him! Look you how pale he glares. His form and cause conjoined, preaching to stones, would make them capable. Do not look upon me, lest with this piteous action you convert my stern effects. Then what I have to do will want true color, tears, perchance, for blood.
To whom do you speak this?
Do you see nothing there?
No, nothing. Yet all that is, I see.
No, it's a pity nothing here.
No, nothing but ourselves.
Why, look you there. Look how it steals away, my father, in his habit as he lived. Look where he goes, even now, out of the portal.
This is the very coinage of your brain, this bodiless creation. Ecstasy is very cunning in.
Ecstasy?
That's right. Use what you have.
My pulse as yours doth temperately keep time and makes as healthful music. It is not madness that I have uttered. Bring me to the test, and I the matter will reword, which madness would gamble from. Mother, for love of grace, lay not that flattering unction to your soul, that not your trespass, but my madness speaks. It will but skin and film the ulcerous place, whilst rank corruption, mining all within, infects unseen. Confess yourself to heaven. Repent what's past. Avoid what is to come. And do not spread the compost on the weeds to make them ranker. Forgive me this, my virtue, for in the fatness of these pursy times, virtue itself of vice must pardon, beg, yea, curb, and woo for leave to do him good.
Thou hast cleft my heart in twain.
Oh.
Use the
Throw
rope.
away the worser part of it, and live the purer with the other half. Good night. But go not to thy uncle's bed. Assume a virtue if you have it not. That monster custom, who all sense doth eat of habits, devil, is angel yet in this. But to the use of actions fair and good, he likewise gives a frock or livery that aptly is put on. Refrain tonight, and that shall lend a kind of easiness to the next abstinence, the next more easy. For use almost can change the shape of nature, and either shame the devil or throw him out with wondrous potency. Once more, good night. And when you are desirous to be blessed, our blessing beg of you. For this same Lord, I do repent. But heaven hath pleased it so to punish me with this, and this with me, that I must be their scourge and minister. I will bestow him, and will answer well the death I gave him. So again, good night. I must be cruel, only to be kind. This bad begins, and worse remains behind.
Good. Nice. An exhausting exercise, isn't it? Can you comment a little bit about what you discovered this time through? This is the first time you two have done this exercise together.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you're quite surprised. You've run the lines of the scene, but you've never had this contact. Any surprises about what you discovered?
For me, especially during the really long speech about the two pictures, it became a way of forcing the breath to drop in. I'd have to take a second just to get a monster breath.
Yes.
And then however that breath managed to come in, if it was sudden or if it was kind of slow, or however I felt saying the line after the breath, really kind of forced me to deal with the rope instead of me having a choice. Some of the things that I did with the rope were choices. And some of them were just the release that the body feels on getting a sudden intake of air. So
Yes.
I didn't expect that to happen with that speech. I expected to get out of breath, but I didn't expect replenishing the breath to have as much of a
A
connection
renewal,
to her.
and then how much of a renewal that
Yeah.
you really got through that.
Yeah.
The moment that caught me was the moment of the fall.
Mm.
That just, I'm sure you were surprised. I was surprised too, and both of you were able then to take the shock of that, and you pushed that right into the scene too.
Emotionally,
That shock
yes, it
of
was-
recognition became the shock of the next moment of the text, which I thought was really exciting. I think if we were start to stage this in a production, I may want to do something with this. There was something that I got, that I discovered at that point. So maybe we can begin to build a section of the conflict here, a section of the discovery, a section of the release. Yes.
Certainly brought to mind who was in control at what point, and emotionally, Hamlet was throwing Gertrude off guard constantly.
You
So
started
she
pretty
was-
strong.
Tried to, and then I had no choice.
I mean, you, the actress, looked terribly confident when you started.
Yeah.
There was a wonderful sense of you thinking that you could master him and work with him.
Right,
and that,
and match it.
You
but-
got disabused of that pretty early on.
Exactly, exactly.
Yes. Yeah, and the power did keep shifting, but it became very obvious that he just had so many more strategies, so many more tactics. That his arsenal was bigger, as it were, and he kept catching you
I think he
off
wore her
guard.
down. Eventually, she had to relinquish.
I would like to hold on to that idea, because in the rehearsal of this scene, we may want to look at that. That sense of Gertrude being pretty sure that she can control and tame her son, and the fact that she is taken off guard until she is worn down. And I like that image. I'd like you to play with that a little bit
Okay.
more. Okay? A couple of things that I'd like you to consider in working an exercise like this is that sense that there's no censorship in terms of what happens either with a vocal response that an actor may have, but also physically. If necessary, work with knee pads. It's important that actors know they don't do anything intentionally to hurt another actor. But it is a physical exercise, so working on a soft wood floor or working with knee pads and making sure there's no furniture around for actors to bump into. But what they need to discover is that freedom of movement and that freedom of intensity. Because as we all know, acting in the plays of Shakespeare is not for the timid. And that means that the responses that the actors work through and the emotional quality that actors discover in that are not timid resources at all. We are now ready for the application process of these exercises. Actors have been spending time exploring, working through particular exercises to discover their range and expressiveness. Now they're ready to begin to put things together. What we're going to show you right now is a first rehearsal. I consider this the first rehearsal that actors have together without the director present, whether it's in class or in the rehearsal for a performance. They have their first opportunity to play a scene from beginning, middle, and end without interference. No stops, just the beginning of the scene and onward. The way we will put it together for you today is that the actors will work with these cubes. There will be no other furniture, there will be no other set. They simply have this item here in the middle of their space to work from. A couple of things you need to keep in mind. In this scene, there is a character on stage who we will not see, Polonius, who is hidden behind a curtain. He will be behind the flat. You'll notice that when they perform the scene. There's also a ghost that appears in this scene, and of course in production we would have to decide how we would stage that. We make no decision for that in the rehearsal process at the beginning. The actors will wear a few costume pieces in addition to their rehearsal clothes, just to begin to get them part of the style of the play itself. A few props, a sword, lockets, and that's about it as far as the accoutrements that they will be using in the scene itself. I encourage the actors to play fully and to allow the explorations to inform the choices they are going to make.
Now, mother, what's the matter?
Hamlet, thou hast thy father much offended.
Mother?
You have my father much offended.
Come, come, you answer with an idle tongue.
Go, go! You question with a wicked tongue.
Why, how now, Hamlet?
What's the matter now?
Have you forgot me?
No, by the rood, not so. You are the queen, your husband's brother's wife, and would it were not so, you are my mother.
Nay, then, I'll set those to you that can speak.
Come, come, and sit you down. You shall not budge. You go not till I set you up a glass where you may see the inmost part of you.
What wilt thou do? Thou wilt not murder me? Help! Help! Oh!
Oh, now, a rat! Dead for a ducat! Dead!
Oh, me! What hast thou done?
Nay, I know not. Is it the king?
Oh, what a rash and bloody deed is
A
this?
bloody deed? Almost as bad, good mother, as kill a king and marry with his brother.
And kill a king.
Aye, lady. 'Twas my word. Oh. Oh, wretched, rash, intruding fool. Farewell. Oh. I took thee for thy better. Take thy fortune, thou find'st to be too busy is some danger. Leave wringing of your hands, peace, sit you down, and let me wring your heart, for so I shall, if it be made of penetrable stuff, if damned custom have not brasted it so that it is proof and bulwark against sense.
What have I done that thou darest wag thy tongue and noise so rude against
Such
me?
an act that blurs the grace and blush of modesty, calls virtue hypocrite, takes off the rose from the fair forehead of an innocent love and sets a blister there, makes marriage vows as false as dicers' oaths. Oh, such a deed as from the body of contraction plucks the very soul, and sweet religion makes a rhapsody of words. Heaven's face does glow o'er this solidity and compound mass with heated visage, as against the doom. He is thought-sick at the act.
Ay me, what act that roars so loud and thunders in the index?
Look here upon this picture, and on this, the counterfeit presentment of two brothers. See what a grace was seated on this brow, Hyperion's curls, the front of Jove himself, an eye like Mars to threaten and command, a station like the herald Mercury new lighted on a heaven-kissing hill. A combination and a form indeed, where every god did seem to set his seal to give the world assurance of a man. This was your husband. Look you now what follows. Here is your husband like a mildewed ear blasting his wholesome brother. Have you eyes? Could you on this fair mountain leave to feed and batten on this moor? Huh? Have you eyes? You cannot call it love. For at your age, the heyday in the blood is hay. It's humble and waits upon the judgment. And what judgment would step from this? Sense, sure you have, else could you not have motion, but sure that sense is apoplexed. For madness would not err, nor sense to ecstasy was ne'er so thralled, but it reserved some quantity of choice to serve in such a difference. What devil was't that thus hath cozened you at hoodman blind? Eyes without feeling, feeling without sight, ears without hands or eyes, smelling sans all, or but a sickly part of one true sense could not so mope. Oh, shame. Where is thy blush? Rebellious hell, if thou canst mutine in a matron's bones, for flaming youth let virtue be as wax and melt in her own fire. Proclaim no shame when the compulsive ardor gives the charge, since frost itself as actively doth burn, and reason panders will.
Oh, Hamlet, speak no more. Thou turn'st mine eyes into my very soul, and there I see such black and grained spots as will not leave their tinct.
Nay, but to live in the rank sweat of an enseamed bed, stewed in corruption, honeying and making love over the nasty stars.
Oh, speak to me no more. These words like daggers enter in my mind. No more, sweet Hamlet.
A murderer and a villain, a slave that is not 20th part the tithe of your preceding lord, a vice of kings, a cut purse of the empire and of the rule, that from a shelf the precious diadem stole and put it in his pocket.
No more.
A king of shreds and patches. Save me and hover over me with your wings, you heavenly gods. What would your gracious figure? Do you not come your tardy son to chide, that lapsed in time and passion lets go by the important acting of your dread command? Oh, say, how is't with you, lady?
Alas, how is't with you? That you do bend your eye on vacancy, and with the incorporeal air do hold discourse? Forth at your eyes the spirits wildly peep, sleeping soldiers in the alarm, your bedded hair lifelike and excrement, starts up and stands on end. Oh, gentle sun, upon the heat and flame of thy distemper, sprinkle cool patience. Whereon do you look?
On him. On him. Look you how pale he glares. Do not look upon me, lest with this piteous action you convert my stern effects. Then what I have to do will want true color, tears perchance for blood.
To whom do you speak this?
Do you see nothing there?
Nothing at all. Yet all that is I see.
No, nothing did you hear?
No, nothing.
But ourselves. Why, look you, there. Look how it steals away. My father in his habit as he lived. Look you where he goes, even now, out at the portal.
The very coinage of your brain, this bodiless creation, ecstasy, is very cunning in...
Ecstasy?
My pulse, as yours, doth temperately keep time, and makes as healthful music. It is not madness that I have uttered.
Bring me to the test, and I the matter will reword, which madness would gamble from. Mother, for love of grace, lay not that flattering unction to your soul, that not your trespass, but my madness speaks. It will but skin and film the ulcerous place, whilst rank corruption, mining all within, infects unseen. Confess yourself to heaven. Repent what's past, avoid what is to come, and do not spread the compost on the weeds to make them ranker. Forgive me this, my virtue. For in the fatness of these pursy times, virtue itself of vice must pardon, beg, yea, curb and woo for leave to do him good.
Oh, Hamlet, thou hast cleft my heart in twain.
Oh. Throw away the worser part of it, and live the purer with the other half. Good night. But go not to my uncle's bed. Assume of virtue if you have it not, that monster custom, who all sense doth eat of habits, devil is angel yet in this, that to the use of actions fair and good, he likewise gives a frock or livery that aptly is put on. Refrain tonight, and that shall lend a kind of easiness to the next abstinence, the next more easy. For use almost can change the stamp of nature, and either shame the devil or throw him out with wondrous potency. Once more, good night. And when you are desirous to be blessed, I'll blessing beg of you. For this same Lord, I do repent. But heaven hath pleased it so to punish me with this, and this with me, that I must be their scourge and minister. I will bestow him, and will answer well the death I gave him. So again, good night. I must be cruel, only to be kind. This bad begins, and worse remains behind.
I'm sure at this point you must feel some relief at having gotten through the first rehearsal. That sense of spending all that time gearing up, training, making sure that there are capabilities that you have to tap into. You've got those. And now you've gotten through that first anxiety of truly playing the scene in space with some semblance of costume, some semblance of a ground plan, as it were, and then applying the things that you've worked on. I thought it was successful for you as a first rehearsal in the sense, for you, Becca, that you did begin to explore much more of your vocal range, and you used that, I think, to clarify what Gertrude was about in the scene from beginning to end. I would suggest that when we rehearse this again, when we do a rehearsal where we concentrate primarily on you, we really ought to look for how we can use that vocal expressiveness to pinpoint precise moments where her changes occur.
And when she's taken off guard and when she's thrown off by him and the
Yes.
frailty there. Okay, I agree.
Absolutely, yes. She's so confident at the beginning, and then he rips her apart, as what happened in the rope exercise. And we can then apply more of that to the scene itself, yes. David, I thought your strengths right now were primarily on the imagery and the sense of what words meant, the content. Some of the antithesis, I thought, worked very, very well. Cruel to be kind. It had an emotional quality at that point of the scene that was really lovely, lovely. Things that you're aware of that you can inform
Well,
us
the scene
about.
wasn't really, I mean, when you said that now the scene's ready for a director to come in, that's true, because the scene was not really blocked. We
No,
kinda just
not at all.
Put it in. But it was, what was interesting was the stuff that we had kind of said about, you know, setting up parameters for the space. A lot of what we did with the rope exercise served as blocking for me.
Oh, I noticed it over the cubes.
Yeah.
When the
it
two
was
of
a
you did
lot,
those moments
you know,
over
and
the
a
cubes.
lot of the relation to her, and sometimes she's just like this thing that I'm orbiting, you know, and like,
Yes.
and was, a lot of it was just, it wasn't even conscious until I had some time after the rehearsal to think about it. But it was just left over from doing the rope.
It happened
good.
again that towards the end when we were, it was almost as if we couldn't let go of hand-wise, and I
Yeah.
kept pulling you in to
The
get you
physical contact
closer,
might
and
pull
he was
away.
pulling away. He wouldn't let me kiss him.
Yeah.
He wouldn't.
Interesting.
It was a real
So I
dynamic.
thought that was something that was useful that came out of it, because then it has sort of a shape that it, because there were things that happened that I thought blocking-wise were very nice and clean, and there was a lot of it that was sloppy, but
Sure.
the things that worked would be something the director could say, keep that, let's
Right.
see how we get
Right,
there.
right. I would be grateful to have a first rehearsal with you now. If you came to me as actors and I was directing you in the scene and say, thank you for bringing something now to the rehearsal, and I'm ready to start making decisions about things in the play itself, because you came with a range of expressiveness. And that's always been my concern, is that if I'm training actors, I want to make sure I'm training them so they come to a director full. And then the more complicated layers of a play begin to take hold. I don't want to spend my time as a director teaching you how to act. That's your job. And it's my job as an acting teacher, when I wear that hat, to make sure that you are ready to do that work. So I think that if we were to begin doing this, the first thing we want to do is concentrate on the opening section. I think it needs to be tightened. I think it needs to have a specific tension that comes from the given circumstances, obviously, for each of you in the scene. You with your relationship to Polonius and the fact that he's in the room, your relationship to Claudius and the fact that you have just left him. Those circumstances would need to work. But then also in terms of dynamics, we need to find the specific tension and how much space can there be between you. I don't think I can have you blocked very far apart, or else those opening moments will not work. And so we need to clarify those things. Becca, to keep using the range exercises, the vocal range exercises, so that we can chart Gertrude. And then I think for you, David, we can go a whole lot further with the efforts, because that seems to be something that you are developing as a strength. And I say then we begin to build that performance on that. That's going to be your tool to accomplish the various emotional and structural things that we want to investigate in the play. For those of you who are using these tapes, either in training in the classroom or in the rehearsal process, I encourage you to always explore the fullest potential that you possibly can use. Voice, body, imagination, and a sense of the structure of the play itself. These actors are very good at working with beat changes, unit changes, to make sure that thought changes, that there's a sense of conveying thought change and emotional change to the audience. In our work as actors, acting coaches, and directors, we are constantly looking to find ways to make Shakespeare's words come alive in a vital way for the audience. We act on the words, not in between them, not before them, and not after them. And that physicality and athleticism that we can bring to them is really very important. The exercises that we have shown you on this video are divided into 3 parts. The first 6 concentrate on personalization. What can the actor do to make the role uniquely his own? Very important. We're not trying to imitate any other performance that we have seen, but we're trying to tap into the unique resources of the actor. Exercises 7 and 8 concentrated on range, expressiveness physically in the Laban effort shapes, and exercises in expressiveness for the vocal range, the work that Becca did in chambers. The final 2 exercises, 9 and 10, concentrate primarily on energizing, finding conflict and energizing it and making it manifest to the audience. An awful lot of good work in talking and listening begin to take place between actors when conflict is localized and physicalized. I hope you enjoy working on the plays of Shakespeare. You will find that they are about the richest that we can tap into. They provide us with tools, they provide us with images, but our work then is to physicalize, vocalize, and explore imagination as we convey them to the audience. I wish you good luck in your work with them. I'm Kathleen Conlon for Theater Arts Video Library.